Jeremy here with Velocity Studio Mix, here to help you create your own studio quality recording and mixing masterpiece. Now in this episode, we're talking about how to get some of those great sounding vocals that you hear from your favorite artists on your favorite albums, those heavy chorus and doubled sounding vocals that really stand out in a mix. We're going to talk about all that and more coming up next. All right, let's get right into it. And we're talking about how to get that chorusing or doubling effect on your vocals and do some of that heavy lifting. Now, first of all, I can't say it enough, you first of all have to have a recording of your vocal, whether it's female or a male vocal that you're working with, whether it's aggressive or whether it's a soft vocal. You've got to have a good recording. Recording is always most important, whether it's your instrument or your vocals. You've got to have a good recording first. If you have a sorry recording, you're going to have a sorry mix and a sorry project at the end. If you've got a great recording, you've got something to work with. Okay, so first of all, you've got to have a good recording. It doesn't have to be perfect, because next you're going to do some vocal correction, possibly with Auto-Tune or with Melodyne. And just so you know, as a side tip, there is a lot of times a little bit of subtle chorusing or doubling that happens at that time, a lot of times when you put that plug-in on. So keep that in mind. You may have to audition that a little bit, and it may be just enough and exactly where you want it. There's some tools, though, to get some additional doubling, though, or chorusing that you might want on your project. So right here on my project here, I've got, as you can see on the screen, I got all my buses right here out to my mix and out to my master, my main. And down here you can see I've got in a folder. It may look a little different to you, but in Pro Tools here I can put all my tracks in a folder. Okay, you don't have to do it that way, but I just like to button them up if I'm not using them. So I'll record them in, I'll make my adjustments like I've done with all these drums, bass, acoustic, and once I get through adjusting, then I button those up, close those folders, and that way it isn't taking up a lot of real estate. So right now we've opened back up our BVGs and our Vox. Right now I'm going to close the BVGs because we're not going to be using those, and I'm going to move us over to our edit window. And so now we're in the edit window. Here's all of our buses, and now I have opened only just our Vox right here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and just for making this simpler and more quick for us, I've copied over. Normally wouldn't do this. You'd have every single track will be a recorded vocal, but in this case I just took my 1, 2, 3, 4 vocals, which are panned already, and if we go over here you can see how they're panned right now. Vox 1 is straight up the middle, 2, 3, 4, all these are panned up the middle. A lot of times I will take 1, pan it hard right, hard left, and the 2 up the middle. There's several different ways of panning, and that's a whole different video on its own. But back to these, I've just quickly copied over 5, 6, 7, and 8 so I can show you a plugin here. And I believe this is by Waves, I think is the plugin. It's called the Doubler 2. They have several different doublers, but this is the Doubler 2. And you can see some of the settings here. The main settings to notice on here is the detune. Detune +3, -3 is what I'm doing to this Vox 5. Okay, so essentially what that's doing is it's adding a few increments above, a few fractions above my normal vocal, and it's adding a -3 below my vocal. Okay, and so that gives it a little bit of a chorusing effect. Okay, and I believe I want to say Hewart from Pro Producing, or Produce Like a Pro, I believe I saw it on one of his videos that he did. Really like that, and this is just one of those tools that you can use. Then there's Doubler 2 here I've put in, same thing, but now it's a -6 +6, right? Then on vocal 7 we've got -9 +9, and then -12 +12 on the vocal 8. Okay, so basically 3, 6, 9, 12, and you end up with a somewhat doubled vocal. So you have your regular vocals 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, and pan those any way you want to pan those. And then I have all these other ones, 5, 6, 7, 8 are stereo tracks, okay, and I've got that doubler on those. Okay, and it's doubled 3, 6, 9, 9, and 12, okay, in all those directions. Plus 12, minus 12, plus 9, minus 9, plus 6, minus 6, and plus 3, minus 3, and it gives you a doubled effect. And then you just blend those with the regular vocals. You can see I have those drop down below. I've got regular vocals at unity, 0, and then I've got the 5 through 8 at about minus 5, okay? So that's one thing that you could do. Now I'm going to button this up, and we're going to look at another one. I'm going to go over here, and I have a Send CLA Epic. I also have a couple other different things that I actually have in the Send, and I don't have them directly on the tracks. I have them on the vocal bus. So they're on the vocal bus, and then in the Sends, I just mix those to my liking, okay? So one of the ones that we're going to talk about is Greg Wells. You may or may not know him, but you can check this out. It's a cool tool that he made, and he's made like 4 or 5 of these, one for guitar, instruments, bass, drums, all kinds of things. This one's for vocal, and it's called the GW Voice Centric. And on here it has a delay. Actually, in this plugin, you get several things. It gives you a little bit of saturation as you push up this knob, right? As you push up this knob, you get more saturation. You got an input area, an output area, but you also have a delay area if you want some delay. You've got some reverb, so you've got a lot of different effects in one tool right here. But then you also have a doubler, and you can move this up and down, okay? And that will also give you doubler as well. Okay, so that's another tool, the Greg Wells Voice Centric. Also Microshift, okay, by Soundtoys. They make a doubling type kind of tool. Detune 1, 2, 3. You can select these, okay, and then mix, and then the detune. So there's also presets in here. Okay, so there's BBG thickener. Okay, fat wide pads. There's several different presets in here, but there's one called double, and I like to use that one. So there's another one that you can use. When I'm not using these, I just make these inactive, okay? And all these are just on Sends, and I keep them at 0, and that way when I'm over here and I drop it in, like for instance, I've dropped an Echo Boy from Soundtoys over on the Vox. I've got it on a Send, and I just adjust it right over here, and I keep it over here in my Sends area. I actually keep that at 0 at all times, but then I adjust it over here on the specific Vox area, because each time it's going to be different. I may have an Echo Boy over here that's at 10. I may have another one over here in a different place on BVGs, and maybe it's at a different one. Maybe I have that one at minus 20, okay? So that's why I adjust those there. Okay, so we've talked about several with the doubler. We've talked about the GW Voice Centric. We've talked about the Soundtoys. I think it was the pitch shifter. That's what it was called. Microshift, okay. But my favorites, here are my favorites, and hopefully you've stayed long enough to see this, is the CLA Vocals. Absolutely love this tool, CLA Vocals. And this one is just really great. It already has some bass, some treble, some compression in it. It has some reverb, some delay if you want it. And how it works is you just move these sliders up and down just like a console. Okay, move these things up and down, right? You can turn them on and turn them off. You can go through different presets right here: tight, large reverb, chamber reverb, which would be really heavy reverb, but you can just select right through those. Okay, same thing with the delay here. You can have it on an eighth, you can have it on a quarter, you can have it off, you can have it on a slap. Okay. Same thing with over here. You've got your treble, you've got your compression. If you select that on compression, wall, push, spank, wall. So that's just deafening brick wall kind of compression, you know. Also, you've got your treble. You've got your bass. Of course, you can select those and pull the fader up and down. You've got your input, your output, and then most importantly over here, your pitch. And pitch, you may not know what that is right off the bat. By the way, this is by Waves. You can get this off of Waves. And Chris Lord Alge makes this for vocals. This is the vocal one. But you can also get it for, I believe they have it for bass, for drums, effects, and guitar. I think he has about 4 of them. They're really neat. But anyway, of course, this one is on my Sends as well. and you can select through here for a stereo, wide, and spreader, and this will give you a chorusing effect, and you can just keep pushing this up and pushing this up, and it'll give you a big chorusing effect. Of course, it has a lot of presets in here you can pick from. Also, Ryan Tedder from One Republic uses this to track with, and I believe he uses Face to Face as the preset. Really great preset. Okay, and then finally there is Chris Lord-Alge's Epic, and it's an actual reverb and the delay and then the reverb, and it's all in one type of a plugin. Absolutely amazing. This thing has so many presets and it's absolutely amazing. Of course, I'm not saying you should use a preset. It's just a great place to start. But if you go in here, he's got all his presets in here that he's made for vocals. A lot of different ones to pick and choose from for keys, guitars, drums. And then he's got different artists all through here that you can pick from, and they've put theirs in there that they like. Okay, just a lot to choose from here. Here's the factory stuff. Okay, and you can decide and pick whatever you want, but there's a lot of them in here that you'll notice once you get in here in CLA, which is Chris Lord-Alge. Go to vocals specifically because we're talking about vocals, and as you audition some of these out, you'll hear there's a bit more chorusing on some here that are already a part of the preset. So just go through here, audition number 1, 2, 3, CLA 1, 2, 3, 4, and just audition all these main ones in CLA, and then go to vocals and just audition all of them, and you'll notice some that have a little bit more heavy chorus on it. And the great thing is he's already made a lot of these for you that's on his console. Okay, it's an invaluable plugin from Waves, another Wave plugin that he has. So hopefully this has helped you. That's just several ways of getting that chorusing effect. It's not the only way, and I would never want to use all of these on the same vocal, but you may want to audition several of these just to see what you like. Now, we had talked about other CLA plugins that he has that I really like. I'm going to pull those up right now if I can. CLA, let's see if I can find them really quick. CLA Epic. Let's go down here. Waves. It'll be easier to find it here. So in here you can see how many different ones there are. Here's the bass CLA. Okay, same kind of console situation, but it's for bass. Absolutely amazing. Let's go back in again. Look at Waves again. He's got one for guitars. Here's the one for guitars. Okay. Again, it already has your bass, treble, compression, reverb, delay, pitch. Let's go back in, and I'm going to show you the one for, we saw vocals. He also has a drums. There's the drums one. Then we also have one called Unplugged for acoustic guitars. Okay. And let's see what else we have. He's got a couple of more effects. One that's just a console for effects: EQ, distortion, reverb, short delay, long delay, pitch. So you might want to just get all of these, and that's what I did. I got each of these plugins. He has another one called Mixdown. That thing is absolutely amazing. And then finally, he's also got one called Echosphere. Have not used this one yet, but all of them are absolutely amazing though. Okay, and you can tell that looks like one of your vintage reverb delays. Okay, but just another one of his tools that you can use. So hopefully any of this helps you. Leave a comment if you liked it, and until next time.